What if I told you that there was a side hustle that could make you thousands of dollars where you didn't have to create content, you didn't have to show your face, and you don't even need an audience? Well, check this out, because there is a side hustle that's flying completely under the radar, even to where if you were to search for it on YouTube, you're not going to find many results because no one is talking about it. But I'm about to put you on. Because while everyone else is out there fighting over the same oversaturated opportunities, watching this video, I'm going to give you a new, unique way to make some money online. By the way, my name is Chris, and back in 2018, I quit my boring corporate job to focus on side hustles full time so that my wife could stay home with our newborn son, Benji. And now I'm going to break down the exact 5-step formula that you need to be able to start making money with this new side hustle in about 30 days. I want to tell you about a side hustle that's called YouTube brokering. Now, most people think that you need to be famous or have millions of views and tons of subscribers in order to make money on YouTube, but that's completely wrong. Let me tell you about a guy named Justin Moore. Now, Justin did something with YouTube that's a little bit different than what we're all kind of traditionally used to. And the best part is that he didn't have any followers, he didn't need a ton of fancy gear, and he was able to get paid. Now, at the time, Justin had a wife and kids, and he was doing what we would normally do to try to take care of our families, and that's make some money digitally somehow so that we could still be around. And his business on the side was finding a lot of sponsorship deals for his wife. And again, remember, these are brand deals for his wife's brand, not himself. He was doing this on behalf of her. Now, it's not like Justin was able to make just a few $100 per post or even $1,000 or so per post. Over the years, he ended up getting over $5 million worth of advertisements and brand deals that he was able to put on his wife's Instagram account. And it was all types of brand deals. We're talking about cereals, clothing, different types of detergent, for washing clothes. It was everything. He was now brokering deals for someone else's Instagram account and YouTube channel. He was taking brand deals and putting them together with an influencer. So how much money can you make from this? Well, most brokers out there will charge a brand 20% of any brands that they find that want to advertise on their social media platforms. So just to make this a little bit more interesting, let's just say you were able to broker a brand deal for about $10,000. You keeping 20% means you get to keep $2,000 of those dollars, and then the other $8,000 goes to the brand. And that's just with one deal. Just imagine trying to do this twice a month, maybe 3 times a month. All of a sudden, it's a full-time income without even having to lift a finger with content creation. So before we get into the 5 things that you need to do in order to start this side hustle effectively, let me give you a couple of reasons why this business model actually works, and because that's going to give you the confidence that you need in order to move forward with it correctly. So first of all, the influencer marketing industry is huge. We're talking over $24 billion over the last year. And yes, that's billion with a B, but there's a problem. Most of the influencers who are trying to make money with this really have no clue what they're doing, but there's a reason for it. So I did a little bit of research and found that around 49% of people who buy stuff, 49% rely on influencers to tell them if they should buy it or not. And it's really it makes perfect sense when you think about it, because usually before you buy something, you want to read some reviews on it. You want to watch some people actually use it. That's why places like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, people are talking about products and then giving you a link in the description so that you can go through and actually buy. You see these influencers, they're making these videos, they're getting the audiences, but they're really lacking on the business side of how to negotiate very expensive brand deals that makes it worth their while. So there is a huge gap between what creators should be making with their brands and what they're not, and that's where you as a YouTube broker can kind of fill the gap. So for a very long time, even I was not doing the greatest job at trying to get sponsors for videos because I was more interested in just getting views and trying to get people to sign up for affiliate products. And the big reason for that is because it's kind of difficult to do everything with the creative part of creating these videos and then also having to set time aside, sometimes hours, to be able to pitch brands and nurture relationships just so that I can convince them to pay me. There's no surprise that creators just want to create, but that's why they need someone to come in and figure out how to make them more money on the views that they're already getting. Now, the cool part is if you follow this 5-step process, 0 experience is needed. Zero connections are really needed as well. You just need to learn how to reach out to people, or reach out to brands, I should say, and be able to get a conversation started with them. And there's a specific way that you need to do that. Now, step one is to find potential YouTube channels to pitch. Now, there's a number of ways that you can do this, but some of the better ways is to actually go out there and find YouTube channels that have good engagement, that have good viewership, but then you might notice that they don't have very many sponsors on any of their videos. It's very simple to do. You just find a channel and then click through, look at some of their videos and see if they have sponsors or not. When you are looking at accounts, I want you to be very careful with this, and this serves for Instagram and YouTube as well, is don't just look at followers, or don't just look at subscribers. Those typically are pretty hollow numbers. You want to look for engagement. How many people are commenting on these videos and these posts? How many people are liking these posts? That way you get a nice firm handle on how engaged this audience happens to be. Now, step two is going to be the interesting part, because now that you have a list of influencers that you want to possibly work with, you need to come up with an offer. Basically, you need to come up with something that you can give them so that you can begin working with them. Now, here's the trick where most people are going to get it wrong. Most people are trying to immediately go out there and try to get paid. Say, I want you to pay me to go out there and find brands for you. You don't have to do it that way. There's a very specific thing that you should do when you're first getting started. You don't want them to commit to a long-term contract. You don't want to make them pay you up front, because it's very risky for them, because they have no idea who you are. So in order to de-risk that whole situation, you want to do this. Let them know what you're going to do, that you are offering to them the opportunity for you to go out and find brand deals for them, and then bring it back to them for approval. And if they approve it and they actually get paid for it, you are going to keep 20% commissions. To find some influencers, be sure to reach out to every single one from that list that you had, and don't get too discouraged if they don't reach back out to you. Sometimes you might have to pitch 20, 30, maybe even 40 or 50 people before you get a handful of them to respond back to you. Now, once you have a couple of influencers to work with, now we get to step three. So step three is going to require you to actually start reaching out to brands on behalf of the influencer. Now, what most people get wrong when it comes to reaching out to these brands is that they're just going to their Instagram account and just, trying to DM them and say, hey, we really like your brand. I really would like to work with you. I have an influencer with yada, yada. You don't want to do that. You want to actually find these people's emails so that you can create a real connection with the brands. Every message that you send to these brands needs to be personalized. And when you're first getting started, that is huge. The more templatized and inorganic these things start to sound, then the worse your returns are going to be when it comes to actually contacting the brands. I personally use tools like hunter.io to find email addresses, and then I also go to LinkedIn, find the brands, and figure out who their influencer marketing manager happens to be. Remember that you don't want to pitch everything in that first email as well. You just want to break the ice and try to get a response. That way you can send out more pitches to more brands without having to spend too much time on those initial emails. Now, step four happens after you actually start to have contact with the brand. Usually you'd want to jump on a call for this, or have the brand or the influencer jump on a call for it. If not, you can at least through email try to figure out what their campaign goals are. And there's typically three different types of campaign goals. Number one, you have conversion goals. Conversion is just people trying to get sales. The brand just wants as many sales as possible. Another one is an awareness campaign where they just want to get their name out there to as many eyeballs as possible. And then the third one is called repurposing, where the idea is they may want the influencer to create content for them so that they can reuse it on their social media, so that they can reuse it on their website or whatever. Once you know what the campaign goal is, now you know how to structure your offer so that it can meet what their goals are and you can make the maximum amount of money. Now, step five is also kind of a ninja trick that you can use when you're reaching out to influencers. Instead of just looking at just their Instagram account or just their YouTube channel or something like that, see if they have a multi-platform presence, meaning that they have a newsletter, they have Instagram, they have Facebook, they have LinkedIn, LinkedIn, whatever it happens to be, anywhere that they happen to have followers, you want to be able to leverage that while you're brokering these deals with the brands and the influencer. It's very similar to like a restaurant, right? Anytime you go to a restaurant, after you eat your main course, the waiter or the waitress comes to you and say, hey, do you want dessert or do you want coffee or something like that? Anything that they can do to kind of pad how much that final bill is going to be so that they can get a bigger tip. It works the exact same way when it comes to these brands. The more platforms that you can offer, the more money you'll be able to make, which means you'll be able to keep a 20% stake on whatever you're able to get from the brands. You see how it works out for everybody involved? The beautiful part of this is once you kind of master the idea of how to reach out to brands, there are hundreds of thousands of influencers. There's hundreds of thousands of brands as well. You're never going to run out of material. But even then, there is something that's even more powerful than just closing individual deals. The real money with YouTube brokering is building long-term relationships with these brands. You don't want to get a whole bunch of just one-offs here and there because that can get tiring. Once you get long-term deals, you can start getting into the six figures sometimes with how much money you can make with an individual brand deal, and you get to keep 20% of it, which in my opinion is one of the best things that you can possibly do when it comes to side hustles. But if you are looking for other side hustles that don't even require you to quit your job, I want you to check out the video right there. Remember, I believe in you, and it's about time that you believe in yourself. Take care.